Gervonta Tank Davis calls Shakur Stevenson an easy fight, easy work for Tank Davis. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments. Is Shakur Stevenson an easy fight for Tank Davis? I don't think it's an easy fight. I still favor Tank just because he's got that power element. I think that, even though Tank has knocked out a lot of opponents with that left hand, whether it's over the top or whether it's an uppercut, Tank's been getting guys out of there. And I think that, I'm going to bet, I can't bet against the guy that can do it both. I think Tank can still, box, even though he's getting all these knockouts. That uppercut is lethal. That overhand left is lethal. As good as Shakur is defensively, he's going to have to be really clean throughout the 12-round duration. And I'm just not sure he'll be able to do that against Tank. Shakur is really good. Him and Tank, I think, is the most competitive fight at 35 or 40. If it has to wait till they both go up to 40 and start campaigning at junior welterweight, then I understand that. But I'd love to see that fight at 35, especially now that Shakur may be a free agent. That's a very possible fight. But for Tank to say that Shakur is easy work, like, that shocked me. And he said that, he doesn't really do anything crazy. He doesn't do anything very special. And it was even, brought to Tank's attention about the defense. And Tank said, he doesn't even do anything that spectacular. He just jumps. He doesn't even slip shots, nothing crazy. That's what Tank is saying. I gotta say, I give, Shakur a little bit more credit, at least, in my opinion, because he has a good, measurement and understanding of distance is what, is special to me. He's always, leaning back, but it's not to the point where it's like it's dangerous. It almost seems like just because he's on that back foot, it's not like he's off balance. He just knows how to get out of the way. In my opinion, I think Shakur is really good. I don't think it's an easy fight for Tank personally, but I still favor Tank to beat Shakur just because of the power. I think in the sport of boxing, we saw against Ryan and Devin, I'm not saying that Devin and Shakur are the same fighter, but they have similar styles. But Shakur, I would argue, is even less likely to engage with an opponent, especially if they can crack. So maybe we won't see Shakur implement that kind of game plan, but at some point, I think Tank's style is just going to force Shakur to fight at moments. And I think in those moments that Shakur would probably catch, Tank would probably catch Shakur, and Shakur, just as good as he is, as perfect as he can be, I don't know if he can do it against a guy like Tank. I just think power is too much of a factor in this matchup. It's two great fighters. Don't get me wrong. This is a fight that I've really been, thinking about that fight, because Lomachenko, I'm not sure how realistic a Lomachenko versus Tank fight is, because, Top Rank, Al Heyman, I don't see that happening easily, at least. But I think that, now that Shakur is a free agent after his next fight against Artem, that's his last fight on the Top Rank contract. So, and he's been having some beef with Top Rank recently. He's been talking about how they don't like black fighters, and how Floyd Mayweather told Shakur that they didn't like black fighters. So I have a good feeling that Shakur's probably not going to re-sign with Top Rank at this point, unless something changes, unless he has some sort of epiphany and starts to love Top Rank again. I don't see them sticking together with each other just because of that scenario that took place when Lomachenko and Kambosos fought. Another great fight for Shakur or Tank is Lomachenko. I just think realistically, with Shakur potentially leaving, that a Tank fight is more realistic and easier to make. From that negotiation standpoint, obviously they have to figure out the money. That's always a difficult thing to do, because neither guy is really champ. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that they both want a lot of money, but at the end of the day, they're both kind of stars in a way. But Tank definitely would deserve more money, in my opinion. I think he's just too much of a draw. But it's just more of Shakur, if the money's right for him. As much as he says, I want to fight, is he going to be willing to take less money? Because he's going to get less money than Tank is. No matter what accolades he's bringing to the table, he's going to get less money than Tank. And I think that's the way it should be, just because, even Shakur has talked about the fact that, if Tank called him, then they can make that fight happen, and Shakur would be accepting to the terms. As long as that hasn't changed, I don't see what any problem would be with making that Shakur fight, because Tank talked about fighting Lomachenko next after Frank Martin, but I don't know how true that is, because if he were to do that, he would have to, you know, find some sort of negotiation with the networks to make that happen. I don't see it happening. It doesn't sound realistic. I think Shakur's, like I said before, Shakur's a more realistic fight for Tank, and I'd rather see it, because there's no excuse of Lomachenko not being in his prime, because even after that impressive fight that Kambosos and Lomachenko was, especially for Loma, because, you know, obviously he stopped Kambosos and it was an impressive performance from Lomachenko. I don't think, you know, people would give Tank credit for that. You know, they were already talking about it on boxing social media, on Twitter. They were talking about how, oh, what if Tank's able to stop Lomachenko? And then people are saying, you know, when he's already past his prime. So people are gonna tear down Tank if he were to beat Lomachenko. So I think if Tank fights a guy like Shakur, it's kind of killing two birds with one stone, because I think Lomachenko and Shakur, that's a really good fight, but I think at this point I'd still favor Shakur in that one, because stylistically Shakur is just too defensively sound for Lomachenko in my opinion. But, you know, Loma's really good. I think next to Tank, Lomachenko is Shakur's biggest threat at 135 for sure, because he's a comfortable 35, Shakur's a comfortable 35, Tank's a comfortable 35. So those are the three fighters at 35 I really want to see go at it. I'd love to see Keyshawn in the mix. I just still think that he's at that point where, like, he's not worth fighting, because, you know, he's a big risk, but he's not that superstar yet. He's gonna be that superstar. You know, they're making him out to be the next Terrence Crawford. I don't think he's gonna be the next Terrence Crawford. He's gonna be the next, you know, Keyshawn Davis. He's gonna be a superstar as well. But there's a lot of talent at 35. But I think the top guys right now got to be Tank, Shakur, Lomachenko. Those are the top three at 135 for me. Those, you know, any of those guys fighting each other is a tremendous fight, and those are the fights that should be happening, especially if they don't want to go up to 40 and fight the likes of Teofimo, Devin Haney. Those guys are big too. So they're all tremendous fights. I would love to see them, but it's all a matter of can they get the money right? You know, Lomachenko, I think he's willing to fight anybody. It's more so how much longer does he want to do it, and is he willing to face a guy like Shakur? Stylistically, it's a tough matchup for him. Is he willing to face a guy like Tank? More of a better matchup for him, but the risk is much riskier. You know, you risk the chance of getting stopped for the first time in your career if you're Lomachenko. So I just think, you know, that's a dangerous fight for Loma. But Shakur and Tank is like prime versus prime. You know, you got guys that are not 30 yet, but Tank's very close to 30 and Shakur's getting up there. So, you know, why not make that fight happen? I think that's a tremendous fight for the sport of boxing. You can't write it up better than that, because these guys have sparred each other before. They're also two guys that have been under you know, the influence of Floyd Mayweather, have had, you know, good, bad relationships with Floyd, rocky times, smooth times. So I really like that fight, especially because, you know, they've been friends in the past. When Rolly fought Tank, Shakur went to visit Tank in his locker room. They were cool. They took a picture. That picture has since gone viral. And the reason why that, you know, that kind of fell apart is that Shakur kind of welcomed the fight with Tank. And for Tank, he took that as disrespectful. But I think at the end of the day, this was inevitable. Like, the best are going to end up being in the same conversation as the best. That's just how the sport of boxing works. But I think, you know, Tank, he's so, like, competitive. He has such that competitive edge that he wants no one to mention his name, or else he finds it disrespectful. So when he heard that Shakur was talking about a potential fight with Tank, he was like, you were just in my locker room and now you want to fight? So now it gets a little bit tricky, but I really do like the fight between Lomachenko, Shakur, Lomachenko, Tank, Shakur. Like, those are all tremendous fights. I'd love to see either of them, but I think for Tank, I'm talking about Tank specifically, the fight with Lomachenko, even with that great performance against Kambosos that Lomachenko had, getting a stoppage win for the first time in a while, and, you know, as good as he looked, as strong and as fast, as high IQ as he looked against Tank, if Tank goes in there and stops Lomachenko, they're gonna say, yeah, but Lomachenko came up to 35. He's a natural 30-pounder, and, you know, he was washed up. You fought him when he was already on the decline. So I don't think Lomachenko's a worth it opponent for Tank. When it's either, if I'm only choosing between Shakur and Lomachenko, I'd go for Shakur, beat that young gun if you can. I really do think that's a competitive fight, but I favor the guy with power and boxing ability as opposed to the guy that's, incredibly good at boxing, but, maybe doesn't have that pop to keep Tank off of him. But we'll see. Shakur could always prove me wrong. This is the sport of boxing. We know anything can happen. Anyone can get it. So it's going to be an interesting fight when that does go down. I do think that's a fight that does have to happen at least. If it doesn't happen at 35, it has to happen at 40. But Shakur Stevenson, apparently Tank thinks that's an easy fight for him. Let me know in the comments if you agree and who you guys got. I got to go with Tank. I got to go with that power and precision. So I'm going to go with Tank in that one. Let me know who you guys got. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. It's been Matt Nabong with Nabs Fight Media. Peace. That's going to do it for another Nabs Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.